Hey guys, this is Raymond. You're watching RPadTV 3000. It is Sunday, and you know what that means. It means I'm tired. Some people are hungover. Some of you are probably hungover. But today we're going to talk about Heels Season 2, the excellent pro wrestling drama. I guess there's some comedic aspects to it too. Let's call it a dramedy that plays on Starz. And helping me break down season 2 are Carlos and Maria from the excellent Revisiting Mania podcast. How are you doing, guys?
Doing
Hey,
great.
thanks for having us.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. I see you have a lovely polo shirt on, which is a tribute to our friend Brandon.
Yes,
He's paying homage,
I'm acknowledging him.
acknowledging him.
He's
So-
been acknowledged.
Before we get into Heels, I heard you guys saw Foo Fighters over the weekend. How was that show?
It was pretty good. I've seen them once before at Wrigley when they played there. That one's more of a smaller scale, obviously, and more organized instead of people just being all splayed out everywhere. Where like in Riot Fest, people bring in like inflatable loungers. People
Oh, wow.
bring in blankets. They can they're a lot more like lenient,
Right.
as like compared to like Alala.
Mhm.
Alala won't let you bring anything like that. But
Ah.
you can bring in like soft-sided wagons and
Oh, wow.
strollers for your kids. So there's like a lot of, I guess, older fans like us, you could say, that might want to venture and bring their newborn kids and little tots out
Nice.
there. But besides that, I thought it was a pretty good show.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I mean, once again, I'm impressed by him, his talents,
Yeah.
and his group. It was an excellent show. I'm really glad that we got to see them again. And like Carlos said, I guess Riot Fest is geared towards those of a certain age because we had a lot of people that were out there relaxing and lounging. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys said you saw them before. Was the energy different without Taylor this time around?
They actually did a song for Taylor, which, they said, hey, the song is for him. What do you think?
I think the drummer that they got was like the energy still there, but you could tell that it's kind of like a little off. But the drummer, did a pretty good job in like keeping the tempo and everything like that. So it wasn't noticeable, but I mean, once they got to that part where they acknowledged Taylor and things like that, it kind of like they got a good song out of it. I don't remember what the title is. Sorry about that, but it was like the first song that Dave said that they wrote when they started.
Yeah, I mean, and one thing that was super different is that his leg was broken at the at Wrigley. So he had a custom chair built.
Oh yeah.
Him in and out with lights all around it, and that I mean, he's badass. So it was a great show.
No, I remember the story of. I think he was in Germany when he broke it originally, because he had jumped off the stage, and then I think he was already in his 40s. I think at the time, and he shouldn't be doing that in his 40s. So his leg was broken, but he wanted to keep playing.
Yeah,
and the doctor was on stage like holding his leg together for the rest of the show.
Yes.
So
sounds like when we went to go see Rage.
Oh, Rage!
Zach De La Rocha broke his foot.
Was
the
he
night before
off stages. Okay.
Yeah, he had done something, and he had jumped, and he had broken his foot.
There should be an over under on stage diving, like maybe 32. After that, knock it off.
Well, that's like KG Elephant.
Yeah, but that he climbs everything.
That's a good time. If you haven't seen them live, I mean, it's pretty awesome. He's always climbing over everything. It's a good show.
All right. I will hope to see them in the future, but for now, let us talk about Heels. Before we get into season 2, I want to learn how you guys started watching Heels. What drew you guys to the show? I know Carlos and I have been big Arrow fans. We've been talking about that show for years. So,
I was going to say, funny that you say that, because Carlos introduced me to Heels. And I introduced him to the Green Arrow. I had been watching it, and I'm like, yes.
Wow.
I'm like, there is this super cool, badass show. You have to watch season 1, season 2.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just that's how I drew him in. And then he just
Nice.
wrote me into heels. So
Yeah, I was just pretty much anti watching it because of like they're just trying to be like Batman without being Batman.
I liked Arrow. I
No,
stayed
no,
for the whole
at the
ride.
beginning, like that was me. I
Yeah.
mean, you and I, we of course stayed on a little bit too long for that ride, but
Well, at least at least he kept us till the end, unlike Flash, where maybe the last 2.5 seasons, I'm like, I enough. I can't
yeah,
anymore.
and I appreciate all for watching both of those shows because I fell off. I'm like, these are turning into rom-coms. Where's the action? And then there were just too many Laurels. I'm like, I was like, Laurel Pass, Laurel's here. I'm like, it's just
Earth
really
2,
confusing.
Laurel. Yeah, that did get a lot. And I always like Sarah better than Laurel. I don't know. That's just me.
yeah. So,
Now,
go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Carlos.
No, I was gonna say, and then I was like, hey, did you know Stephen Amell started this new show where he's probably gonna be shirtless the majority of the time because it's about wrestling? And she's like, I'm in, and I was like, okay.
Very nice. So you got your shirtless Stephen Amell back in your life, Maria.
I did, and his brother Ace. So thank you, heels.
Do you watch that other? He's in like some Viking show or something.
No, we've never watched it.
Not yet.
No.
Me neither. But I saw a clip of him fighting a bear, and I'm like, well, I mean, Wild Bill's nothing. Dude killed a bear with his hands.
Did he wear it as a coat though?
I think he did. I think it was some sort of initiation in his Viking tribe.
Oh, what is this? A God of War ripoff?
I don't know. I don't watch any of these Viking shows, but I heard there's like 3 of them, and
Okay.
they're all varying degrees of good.
Okay.
So we'll see. So in a few minutes,
Mhm.
sum up your thoughts on season 2 and how you felt about it as a whole.
You want to go?
Yeah, I mean, season 2 of Heels, we got to see the brothers kind of engage with each other, work through some of their issues. We had a lot of relationships get fleshed out, also with backstories.
Yeah.
And we also got to see Wild Bill's character and how he was developed and how Willie developed as is she back off? What is she? Stage?
I guess she's a
I'm not sure.
production.
Like she's
Yeah, I guess she's like the producer of
Yeah.
the whole thing, because like
jack of all
everything
trades. We
goes
got to
to
see
her.
Crystal's like her character develop. So
Yeah, pretty much like Maria had said, and like just a little tidbits of getting all the details of Ace having like I guess Eat Pray Love moment or the storyline, only he didn't have to travel to India. He just
He went to went up the hill or whatever.
Yeah, he went to some Dover Park or whatever it was called, and then we found enlightenment, I guess.
I was like, was it that serious? He still had Wi-Fi, or he still had
Yeah. His phone was still getting service. Not our fault he dropped it.
Yeah. So that tidbit, and then the whole details about Jack's dad.
Yeah.
So it was very it was better than season 1, like as far as storytelling wise.
I agree.
Building these characters.
I mean, that dream sequence that Ace had, or that nightmare. I too was also afraid. I'm like, leave now.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop. I thought that was real at first. I'm like, no, she's falling back
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that was cool when it was a dream.
This is horrific.
Yeah. So my thoughts are, I agree with Carlos that I thought it was better than season 2. The flashbacks were tremendous for me. My favorite part of the whole thing, and it just redefined so many characters. Obviously, Wild Bill, Willie, and especially the mom.
Oh yes, I forgot about that tidbit. But yeah,
I mean, I'll get more into that later, but I hope your son's not around. But what an asshole!
No, I thought I agree.
Yeah, definitely. We were like, what the hell? Who drops that? Dropped that particular news 40, like 20 years to, or 30 years later after the sons are grown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
then I mean,
so
even when Ace was making his vision board, which I too am a fan of a vision board, she's just like smashing and dancing on his dreams. And I
mhm.
was just like, wow, mom. I'm like, that is terrible.
Don't get glue on my table.
Yeah. Or when she was talking with her husband in that one scene about how she's accustomed to a certain life. And I'm like, girl, if you're accustomed to a certain life, then get out there and help him. Do what you need to do to get it going. So
Yeah,
I,
but they're in the South. It's kind
Hmm.
of old fashioned. So I kind of get what she meant. I don't agree with her, of course, but yeah, I know where she was coming from, even if it was kind of a old fashioned place.
yeah, I guess I'm here for Ace's wife, who's like, I need to get my hands in this, figure it out, and help you so we can pull this through this together. So season two had some like real life things that were just
Yeah,
really, touching. So like you all said, good writing.
yeah. Now, one of the biggest. This is a small aside for a second, but one difference a lot of viewers that are attracted to women notice that there was no nudity in season two, and there was quite a bit in season one.
Hmm.
You saw a lot of Crystal of her boobs and Ace's ass throughout season one, and none of that in season two. Did it bother you? Did you notice it? Did you care?
No, I don't like. I didn't. I noticed it, but I wasn't like one of those like, oh my god, they didn't have enough nudity. I'm gonna have to say it's a terrible show.
You're like, there weren't enough boobs.
Yeah, no boobs. Instead of being 5 stars, 3. No, but the story pretty much makes up for any of the lack of nudity, unless you're
Yeah,
just watching the show for nudity, which is like why when
Why
you
not
the
could
the
just
show?
look it up
Watch any
easier.
other show.
yeah. There are better things to watch if that's your primary concern.
I mean, from
I
my
agree.
perspective, I noticed that how like strong some of the women characters were.
Oh yeah,
Like Crystal for when she was wrestling in the ring and she was, doing all these awesome moves. Then I told Carlos was like, "Is that AJ?" And he's like, "Yes, it
yeah,
is." So that was a nice surprise to see her. And what other? Oh, of course, Jack's wife too. Like her character,
Stacy
yeah,
finally
Stacy.
embracing the family business.
But that
yeah.
Lily, she was a hot mess in season two. So that's a TBD on season three to see how everything goes for her.
And it's such a contrast from the first one, where you think she's like the glue
Hmm.
holding this rinky-dink company together,
Hmm.
and you find out, and she is doing that for sure.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
she is very strong and capable, but she's also really messed up, and she's done some messed up things.
Oh yeah. Like
And I love that season two explored all of that.
Yeah.
like when she talks to her daughter and she's talking to her about
Yeah.
school, I was like, oh shit. Or when she's talking with her husband and her husband's like, she's on the floor and he's like, yeah, you need to clean that up in the bathroom because she tossed
Mhm.
her cookies.
Hmm.
So those were some pretty serious moments between them. I'm like, don't know if this is going to last. And then we find out that she had that relationship with Bill and they kind of flesh that out too.
Right. So this is a great transition. We're talking about characters and performances that we liked in season two. So Maria, did Willie stand out for you? Who else did you guys like in
Yeah.
season two?
I did enjoy the story arc of Willie. This one, Wild Bill, I think was a great storyline
Oh yeah.
because it like pretty much gives you like 180 on whatever you thought his character was.
Absolutely.
And then I think the little bit more that you could have got was the A storyline because
Hmm.
it also goes where like I said he has this eat pray love moment and
Yeah.
he comes back.
Yeah, it's kind of not finished, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of
Oh, well, I mean, we had to
loose.
see because now we'll talk about it later. But yeah, it all has to come to fruition after what happens at the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. One, Willie, just seeing her backstory and how she and Wild Bill left off.
Yeah.
How they kind of parted ways was like pretty serious, very deep. And also Wild Bill, just seeing his backstory of him as a young wrestler, his father's friend. And also, like you said, Ace was another one where I'm like, okay, well, we have the story, but you know, it was kind of
It's not finished yet, but it's like a redemption type of story
It's like
type of
redemption in
thing.
progress.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't know if you caught what the women said when they rescued him when he fell and broke his ankle off that mountain. They're just like, he's like, hey, are y'all interested in doing it? And they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no, we're trying to be kind to you. Like, don't, you know, take our kindness for anything other than what it is. And they're like, you'll be
Right.
better.
And those women, I interpreted it as they were a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had
So
said
Yeah.
from the
that's
beginning.
she's like, read the room. We're gay,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, "That's cool. We could do both."
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I like the flashbacks a lot too.
Hmm.
Carlos mentioned that Wild Bill's flashbacks was a 180 for the character, just like with Willie in different directions.
Hmm.
You really see that the kindness of Wild Bill and what he was willing to do for the Spade family after both Jack and Willie betrayed him.
Yeah.
And in season one, you think he's just this arrogant, washed up, brash guy, like
Yeah.
wrestlers we've seen before, like with
Yeah.
the older Ric Flair and stuff. But yeah, he's really just damaged and very generous in a way that I wasn't expecting. So that
Yeah.
was a great surprise.
I mean,
Um,
I was just gonna say what a stab to the heart when their mother was like, "Oh, I just called to let
yeah,
you know, that
Jack
he,
shot himself.
yeah,
Yeah.
he shot himself and basically said like thanks for helping." And
Yeah,
480 plus $1,000 later, he kept it. He didn't say anything.
yeah,
He just let her roll with that narrative, and I'm like, wow, that's really powerful.
Hmm.
and even when Stacy called him in the present, when he called him out about the money, he wouldn't,
Yeah.
say straight up that it was him. Yeah, so you just really love that character more and just really endearing.
Hmm.
Learning more about Jack Spade and what he did and tried to do to keep this company together, and also the impact it had on both his sons. I mean, what a messed up family this is.
Yeah.
But learning about Ma Spade, that's another one I wasn't expecting because
Hmm.
she's just kind of vile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, she's vicious.
Yeah.
I mean, so many times we see her talking to her kids. When she beats Jack when he's, you know, a kid, that was something.
Hmm.
Like when she talked to Ace and the way that she talked to her husband, and it's just like she's a bee. She stings.
Yeah. And then what did she say to the grandson? Like, your grandfather's in hell because he killed himself or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's great dinner conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
What are we saying? Like it's been like a year or a couple of years since.
Yeah.
The
I think it's a
father?
year before season 1. Is
Okay.
that right?
I was trying to get the timeline because it's
Yeah.
like we see how the show or how they get the wrestling promotion back up and running after uh was it King Spade? Is it Tom? I think it's Tom, right?
Tom Spade, you're right.
Yeah, Tom
Yeah.
Spade offs himself, and then they decide to have one more memorial match for him, and that's pretty much how they get everything going again.
Right.
So yeah, I think we're looking at 2 years. You figure that she'd be a little bit more kind or more empathetic to her grandson. And she's like, no, he's not in heaven. What are you talking about?
He's burning.
Yeah.
You smell that crispy skin burning?
Thanks, Grandma.
Yeah.
That's Grandpa cooking right now.
Yeah.
Like,
That
what
will
are you doing
haunt me
with
for the
that?
rest of my life. Yeah.
Like, no wonder why he's having issues at school in between that and the stuff that's going on at home. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Mike O'Malley as Charlie Gully. I think that's a great character as the middle-aged man that won't let go of still trying to be cool.
Yeah.
And he does come off, and a lot of times he is a dick when he's dealing with the Spade family, but you see he's really kind to his daughter. He cares about his company and what he's built. So I think he's an example of how there's a lot of layers and nuance to his character and a lot of these characters on this show, which I was not expecting. I thought they'd be more single note.
All right, and that's what we're beginning to see, and hopefully we get a season 3 because I still want to see. Like, did they ever mention where he gets his money from?
Who's
Why do you
that,
think it's not
Charlie?
from
Yeah,
wrestling?
Charlie.
I always thought he was some like Mark Cuban internet guy. I actually don't know. I
Because
never
I
watched him.
figured that like if he does have this extravagant amount of money, like the lavish party he throws for Continuum, the streaming service
Right.
that's trying to get
Right.
him, why would he need to have a streaming service?
Right. Well, I saw this as that he made money in some other. Well, he's in Miami, so let's
Yeah.
assume he's in like the gaseline distribution business or something.
Oh, okay, maybe like call it
Yeah.
like something Sunrays.
Yeah, Sunrays
Sunray.
gasoline,
Yeah.
and he made a fortune doing that. And Florida Dystopia Wrestling
Mhm.
is that the name of FD
Florida Wrestling
Wrestling
Dystopia.
Dystopia FWD?
Yeah.
This is his like passion project and what he's doing with his life now after Sunrays gasoline. I don't know. That's how I interpret it.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong.
He's
Yeah.
really thirsty for that money, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's why I was like, he can't be keeping up with like the
Kardashians.
production and the amount of money and things like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's bleeding for
Yeah.
sure. I don't know that it's about the money for him. I think he
Oh,
wants
I know.
attention.
The power and the attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He wants
know
the
it's about that.
exposure that
Yeah.
a Continuum would give him.
I was like, he's a great actor because he is such a jerk.
Yeah, who knew that the host of Guts?
Yeah, that Guts. That's the name of the show he did.
Wow.
Like that Nickelodeon thing, right?
Yeah.
I was like, he's the perfect heel because I hate him.
Yeah, she's like, am I supposed to hate this guy? Like,
You are.
yes, you're supposed to hate this guy. He's doing his job.
I was like,
And his
so
daughter in the
mad.
show is actually his daughter in real life. So
Wow.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
good job in the nepotism there. No.
Great job, Mike
Yeah.
O'Malley.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, what's his face? Prometheus worked for Continuum from Arrow. So that was
Oh,
weird.
was that him? He seemed
Yeah.
familiar to me, and I'm like, I can't place this guy.
Yeah, like
Oh,
is
yeah,
he
that's-
gonna wear the black costume?
Yeah.
Like, what's going
It's
on
hilarious.
here?
Hey, Stephen Amell just made. Hey, like, hey, are you doing anything?
It's like, I got this show. You can't be the DA turned vigilante guy.
Also,
That's right.
the
Yeah.
lady
Oh my
that worked
goodness.
at Continuum, she looked like they tried to get Candace Patton, and when they couldn't get her, so they're like, let's
She
get
was
someone else.
she's budget Candace Patton.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I hope she does other things, or she
I
did
wonder why
other
he was so
things.
familiar. I'm like, this guy is
Yeah, that was
so
like-
familiar, and you just brought me back.
Yeah, I
right?
didn't bother to.
Oh.
Usually I IMDb it because she's like, no, that's not him, and then I do it to prove her wrong, but she
Wow.
wasn't arguing with me.
It actually, when I first saw that character, it pulled me out of the show. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yes, because there was like nothing.
I was like,
It seemed like it was a commercial, and I like,
Yeah.
when did they put commercials at Starz?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
It
just
was really
weird.
weird. I actually asked him, I'm like, is this part of the same show? Because it was just so different.
Yeah,
That and also the flashbacks. When you're doing the time travel, when Tom's going to go visit Wild Bill on the TV set,
yeah,
and you don't get that, it like doesn't give you like a wipe or anything to transition you into like, normally
Right.
like when it's like in a TV show they'll use like a different color filter or something.
yeah,
So-
yeah.
and it was just like the same, and I'm like, wait, and then I would see, oh, okay, it's Tom, because
Yeah. Although for the TV show, since it's not too far in the past from where they were, maybe not as dramatic a filter as when he was going to Atlanta to talk to Ted Turner.
Right.
So maybe that's where you go with that
Mhm.
90s thing, or how Winning Time, it almost looks like a VHS
Yeah.
thing. Maybe do something like that. That would have been cool.
Yeah. I mean, I really like that one scene where he went to go visit him on set and he rewrote part of his script for him.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, I was like, that's emotional. I'm crying.
It also shows that apparently writing scripts is a genetic talent,
Yeah, apparently.
and that Jack
Yeah.
only got it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, if only he could have, who knows, if he would have, stuck around, he could have been like a writer on the show or something, but we'll
Mhm.
never know.
Right.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So question, and this I might be projecting too much, but since King Spade named his sons after playing cards, did it remind you of Paige's mother? Like her gimmick character was Soraya,
Mm-hmm.
and she named her daughter the actual name Soraya.
Mm-hmm.
So that it kind of reminded me of that, where you're using your gimmick to name your children, which is, I think it's
Oh
kind of
no,
weird.
yeah. Well, yeah, I could see that, especially since why would he name him Ace if he never wanted Ace to be in the wrestling business?
Right, right.
So,
And what if they had a third kid? What would their name be? Like,
um,
Diamond.
the
yeah,
club.
like
I mean, the tennis page. I don't
yeah,
know
the
because
girl.
I would have.
You got Queen left. King's
Yeah,
already taken. Like, be like,
you
hey,
figure-
10.
yeah.
Like,
I'm like, good call on that, Ray. I don't know how I did not pay attention to that.
Mm.
it's from years of reading the Royal Flush Gang in comic books.
Oh yeah.
That's
Wow.
why I paid attention.
Ooh.
Now, let's talk about some characters that were maybe underutilized or that you wanted to see more of in season 2. Did
Mhm.
anyone pop to mind?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was Diego Cottonmouth.
Yeah.
So I saw that he has other roles, but I'm really looking forward to seeing his character develop on the show. And when he was doing that podcast with Wild Bill,
Yeah.
and he goes through that journey with Wild Bill where he goes to a con, like a wrestling con.
Mhm.
Wild Bill runs into his friends, and then he says, "Hey, I'm not your gopher." And Wild Bill comes to terms with all of that and is like, "Hey,
Right.
this is our show." So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing more of his character.
Yeah, I like that storyline a lot, but it kind of just stopped, and then
Yeah.
they didn't
Yeah.
keep going, and it didn't have to be about. I just like the relationship with Diego and Wild Bill, and wish they kept going with that.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get something if we get a season 3.
I hope so. I mean, if not even in Heels, I hope to see him in other roles because I
He's
really like his
fun.
character.
Mhm.
He is.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about for you, Carlos? Anyone you wanted?
El Dorado.
Yes.
Yes. Bring back Miss April.
Yes.
She did a very wonderful job.
She did, and as did Serena Deeb, another
Yes.
excellent female pro wrestler.
Yeah. What was her name? What was the rest?
Totally don't remember her name.
Yeah.
Let's see if
It was like a weird name, and I'm like, why would they give her name like that?
I wonder what it
But
was.
while you're looking that up, yeah, I was just wanted to see more of her, and then believe it or not, Ricky, because Ricky
Yes.
pretty much disappeared at the end for like the last 2 episodes. Like they cut those promos.
They
Like
did, yeah.
Sure.
no,
Yeah.
Ricky Rabies, Phil.
Okay.
So Phil disappears for like the
CM
last
Punk.
yeah.
CM
Oh,
Punk
yeah,
for you
so-
non-wrestling people out
He
there.
disappears for like the last 2 episodes. That the episode where they cut all those promos to win over Continuum.
That's
And
right.
then for the Harmageddon,
He wasn't on the card apparently. Yeah, so he's in the touchy-feely montage that they put together. Then he like screws off. So
yeah.
Serena's gimmick name in the show was Venus Cancer.
Yeah, Venus Cancer. That's why I
What
was
is
like, what kind of a
that?
name is that?
That's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. They're doing zodiac things, and
I guess so. I was like, no, like you figured Serena would have been able to get like a better name, or even though it's like a character, but like some people are gonna be like, this is Venus Cancer.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not a
That
great
woman.
name.
Oh, you know what? Unless they're talking about like Val Venus and making that kind of like what is this pseudonym or something like
Yeah,
that, similar, a simile to something else to refer to.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it now until now.
that woman's been through enough. She shaved her head for the business.
Wow.
She got unwanted implants for the business, and
Mhm.
Wow.
now they gave her a stupid ass name on a TV show.
Wow.
The guy I wanted to see more of was Rooster Robbins,
Oh yeah, Rooster.
because you don't really
They started giving you something like
with
when
his
they showed
dad. Yeah, I wanted
Right.
more of that to make him more sympathetic, because
Mhm.
he went to work for Gully, so he's kind of the heel in that respect, but he had reasons to.
Yeah.
He was never going to be the top guy at Duffy.
Right.
So, and he wanted to take care of his dad. I wish they went into more of that, but they kind of just play up his arrogance more
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you said, the Rooster is another character I'd like to see more of. So hopefully we see more of him and his story
Mm-hmm.
in season 3.
Alan Maldonado, great
Yes.
job.
Yeah, yeah. I like that character a lot, and I like him. I like how he's developed. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he was kind of stuck when he was in Duffy.
yeah. It
And
reminds me kind of like little like sprinkling of a Macho Man
yeah, no,
because
definitely,
that's
especially the
how.
costume too.
Yeah, with just, that's how Macho got
Yeah,
his like costume with his tassels or with those
I like his costume.
fringes,
Yeah,
and he got his hair up kind of like a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I mean his whole costume,
Hmm.
he looked awesome. I told Carlos, I'm like, whoever's designing his costume, design it for WWE or AEW
yeah,
because it looks super cool.
yeah,
Also, I mean the wrestling, I was like, whoa! I don't know if you guys were impressed by the wrestling, but in
yeah.
between the music and the wrestling, I was just like, wow, oh, ooh, so I
Yeah,
thought it
she's
was
like,
pretty good.
why don't they ever have wrestling matches with music playing in the background?
Well, mostly licensing rights.
Hmm.
Um,
Or I'm like, can we have wrestling and like maybe a rock band or something? I don't
They've
know.
had those
Have
like
they?
at a bar.
They've had them.
yeah, they had a lot of really bad shows like that where they tried to blend the two. I don't know. Crossover stuff is kind of weird. I remember I went to a tennis match where they also had live music playing at the same time. They
Wow.
wanted to do like a rock and tennis thing, and it
Oh,
did not work at all.
oh wow.
Like,
Like maybe symphony or something like that, but rock.
yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
weird mix. Now let's talk about some surprises. We already addressed some, but
Hmm.
for me, the biggest surprise was Ma Spade and what a garbage person she turned out to be.
Hmm.
How about for you guys? What surprised you in season 2?
Uh, Willie, because I guess yeah, we had an inkling that she was an alcoholic, because she always,
Walking in with the cup.
but it's like you thought maybe she was just a functioning alcoholic.
Not so much.
No,
Like
it's just she's
dysfunctional.
drinking because she has problems with the way her life has pretty much
Yeah,
ended up.
Yeah.
And like as much as she likes to be there, she feels like she still has more to offer, and she's not getting the respect that she feels she's needed. And
right. And do you get the sense that she blames all of her miseries on the Spade family as a whole? Like,
yeah, for like hitching her wagon to Tom, and like instead of being like, oh, I should have just went with Bill and not gone with Tom. But
right,
yeah, I mean, but then at that point, you figure you just get away from it. Like
right.
after you realize that, especially since she found a husband that actually tolerates her, like could deal with her.
Ridiculously patient man.
I
Yeah,
know. I'm like, oh my
and he
gosh.
really loves her.
He
And
does.
in that one scene where he's telling her off after
After she
she.
wakes up
On the
from the
floor
floor.
Oh
Yeah.
no, no, the other one where
with the daughter.
the daughter wants to
Oh yeah,
have like
yeah,
a
yeah.
paper to write for her
Yeah.
SATs
Yeah.
or entrances, and her, she tells her, why you need to go to school. I didn't go to school.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $60,000 for you to get roofied. And
Yeah. I'm like, what is that?
and then
What
the
mother
husband just
says
goes off on
that?
her. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know who this guy is, but that was one great scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to do that, but when he did, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad he
Mhm.
did. He even talks about her not being there for writing, when they taught their daughter how to ride a bike. And I'm like,
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
I think like Carlos said, she has a lot of regrets and maybe she is hopeful or wish that she would have ended up with Bill or her lifestyle was different. But at a certain point you have to make or take some ownership of what your life is.
Absolutely.
And decide, hey, this is what I want. Because right now she's not only suffering, but she's making her daughter suffer and she's making her husband suffer and she's making everybody's life terrible. So she has some choices to make, and we'll see if she makes them in season 3.
Mhm.
And this speaks again, as I was saying, how these characters are layered and nuanced.
Mm-hmm.
As we're learning how bad Willie is at home and the things she did, the shady things she did to keep the company alive,
Oh yeah.
That farm.
she is still kind of giving Crystal options and letting her know that these different paths are available to her
Yeah.
because she
Yeah.
doesn't want her to get stuck in the way she was.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to make sure she makes the right choice. So
Yeah.
I love that she's not single note like so many characters in so many TV shows are. So good for her.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, do you think she has any jealousy of Jack's wife, Stacy, taking over or
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to take more
for sure.
responsibility?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I see is like she sees that and she's upset. Also, the relationship she has with Crystal is kind of interesting too, where she's trying to be helpful, but also kind of like shitty, just a little bit.
Yeah, because it's
that's how
layered.
she's a tough love kind of lady,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so that even as much as she gives to Crystal is surprising. So
Mm-hmm.
good for her.
Yep.
But you were saying, Carlos?
No, I would say it's the whole thing. It's like she's also serving her best interest because Gully tells her that she needs to get Crystal for her.
Right.
So she's interested in moving.
Yeah. It's not entirely, out of it's self-serving for sure.
Yeah. In the front of the house is being offered. So we're trying to figure out that we're saying that she's a producer in this.
Yeah.
So is this like front of the house the same as like when you're working at a restaurant and you're working in the front of the house? Or since you've been backstage at shows at wrestling events, do you know what is it like the gorilla or the producer?
Yeah, it would be in that little booth and right next to Gorilla. So yeah, she would be in charge like how Vince is or Hunter is at shows now.
Maria, for you, since you probably don't know the word we just used, gorilla. You remember there's an announcer called Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah, how could I forget?
All right, so after he transitions from being an announcer, full time, they put him in the back to take care of the talent. So he actually oversees how all the matches start and finish and everything like that for that event. So he always stood behind the curtain.
Right.
There was no table, no anything like that before. Like they have it now, and that's why it's called the gorilla position.
Oh,
so
that's
you're
awesome.
standing there.
Yeah, we don't think about that. It just seems like, to Carlos and me, it just seems like over there. It's just a thing that we know.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why we had to explain to her that, and that's the whole premise of our podcast. For you people that may be watching us and have never watched us, we have a podcast where we revisit WrestleMania, and Maria's learning and watching WrestleManias for the first time.
Yes.
That gorilla.
More plugs for sure, but I'll give you one now too. Definitely go to their YouTube channel. Is the name same on Facebook too? I didn't make irons. So definitely subscribe and like and hit the bell for notifications and all that. It is my favorite wrestling podcast. And I will be on soon.
A little heart.
Yes, WrestleMania 10 or
3
shows away. Oh, okay.
A little heart for me.
Yes. You got to do the one that confuses people where you do the heart like this. It looks like thumbs down.
Yeah, 2 thumbs down. Oh.
Hey, have you seen that video where some girl is getting work done in her teeth and the dentist is going towards her mouth with his tool and she's like gives him the heart? If we find it, I'll send it to you because it's super cute.
No,
he's like, no.
Yeah, she's high like a Novocaine or something like that.
He's like, no.
Wow, that's great.
It's super funny. Yeah,
I did see a messed up video slightly before this.
No.
These teenagers stole a car for fun, and they're driving around like idiots. And this is in Las Vegas, where I am. And they see a biker and they're like, hey, let's hit him. And they end up hitting him. The guy dies in a hospital. He was apparently a retired police officer.
No.
And then these kids they found the kids. So hopefully they do time.
They can prosecute. Yeah. I think I'm at that age where I'm like, prosecute. But also, we saw some crazy videos today with the machete. So I'm like, let me stay off the internet. Like too much internet.
But see, what got me is that the kid thought it was a good idea to show them damaging, or they don't know that they killed him, but they obviously know they hurt him.
Right.
So let's put this on social media. That's just, it's messed up what they did in the first place. But posting your crime online is just stupid.
That
Right.
is, yeah. Like, don't talk about your crimes. Don't show your crimes. Just don't
Yeah.
do crimes.
Mhm.
Period. So,
Or
Be a good
hide them
person.
behind your gasoline company, Sunrise Gasoline.
like, be better, people. do better. But Ray, like you were saying, what other things were surprising? I think the way that Jack and Stacy, like their relationship.
Yeah, it took a while. Like, why was Stacy still being so stubborn in like the first 3
I didn't
episodes?
understand that. Like, why did she not tell them about the son and all that? Like, why was she dishonest to him?
Yeah, like why would you to purposely keep your son out of school when they're like, yeah, you could go back to school?
Yeah. And then, like we talked about the parents' marriage and financial problems, that one was like,
Hmm.
okay, we kind of knew, but them talking about that. And then Ace and Crystal developing as wrestlers. I mean, I like his character. What is it called?
Yeah,
He's
the
called
condemned. Why
The
the
Condemned.
condemned?
Condemned. That's right.
That's a little kind of like a inklings of Sting when he comes back, right? With the
Yeah.
NWO.
But the stupid name makes
Yeah.
sense for Ace.
Yeah.
Like, no, it'd be a good idea.
I like how
Right.
the crowd got it wrong and they were calling him goddamned. And they're like, don't do that to the Lord. It's goddamned.
I remember after that episode aired, and I go to the Heels Reddit,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, at least he didn't call himself the Condomed.
No.
That would have been an entirely different wrestler.
And everybody's like, what is his name? He looked a little bit like the Arrow with the yeah.
Yeah, he did, but I don't know. I got like, I'm like, is he the Hamburglar? What the hell's going on?
Didn't the Gully make that reference? He looks
Did
like
he?
a hamburger. I
Did
think
he?
so.
Oh man, that's good. Gully, that's such a great character.
I mean, if
That's
you're
all
gonna
his
be writing
story.
the show, you might as well give yourself the best lines, right?
Is he the one that's writing the show?
He writes a lot of them,
Yeah.
and he's a producer
Oh,
on them. He wrote 3 episodes this season.
he's pulling double duty.
Yeah,
Like when we were watching Seinfeld and we heard
Yeah, we've been watching Seinfeld on Netflix, and we saw Larry David first. He makes the
Yeah.
appearance as the voice of Newman, in
Yeah.
like season 2, and I never noticed that it's not what's the guy from
Wayne
Jurassic
Knight.
Park? Yeah, it's not Wayne Knight's voice. It's actually Larry David's voice, where he's like, "Hey, are you on?" And he's like, "No," and it's Larry David voice, and then they have him like
laughing.
in a TV show.
Yeah.
That Jerry takes notes and he can't make out what it is, and it's like Islands of Esmond or something like that, and
He's
it's like
wearing a
that's
spacesuit.
yeah, he's wearing a spacesuit. It was just hilarious to like go back and realize and
Right.
recognize it's Larry David, the guy from Curve, and we always missed it.
Didn't he do Steinbrenner's voice in this show as well?
Probably. I haven't now that I've heard more of Larry's voice.
Yeah, it's in your head now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's get to the ending.
Oh,
A lot happened here.
Yeah.
The way it was supposed to go down, they're doing what was the show called?
Harmageddon.
yeah.
And it was a collaboration between Duffy Wrestling League and Florida Wrestling Dystopia.
Hmm.
And at the end, Rooster's supposed to go over Ace for the big finish.
Right.
And the thing hanging over Duffy's head was that the finish had to go off that way, or he would sue
Hmm.
Jack Spade for assaulting him.
Right.
Hmm.
But that's not what happened for various reasons.
Yeah.
Now, how did you feel about the ending? And
we
describe it. Maria's doing a good job of describing things. I'm going to let her be the official
Yeah.
narrator.
Should I say spoiler alert?
Yeah,
first?
I mean, spoiler warning for you who have not finished season 3 of Heels.
Yes,
Yes.
I mean, like you said, we're seeing who, if it's going to be Ace or Jack, and they're both laying on the mat, and Jack is like, hey, I can't. Like, you need to do this.
Right.
And then he says that his legs, like he can't feel his legs.
Right. But see, the way when he's telling Ace to pin him, you think it's because he wants his brother to do well, and he thinks it's better for the story.
Yeah.
But after the match, when Stacy's talking to him, that's when he said
Yeah, he can't feel his
he can't
legs.
feel his legs.
Yeah, so the Rooster walking out was not part of it, from what Charlie knew, right? Rooster
Right.
walking out and not participating in the match
Right.
with Ace.
But
That
Rooster.
was Rooster knew. So that was a rewrite that I guess Jack gave Rooster last second or whatever, maybe. And then so no, but
Oh wait,
Charlie
no,
had
no.
to know.
Charlie
Yeah,
knew.
Charlie
Charlie
knew.
knew.
So never mind. So so it ends up that Jack is the traitor and
Yeah.
he wants to sell the DWL quote unquote in
Mhm.
kayfabe in this Stars Hill show
Mhm.
to Florida Wrestling Dystopia.
Yes.
So they have a last man standing match for the life of the Duffley Wrestling League.
Right.
And then for some reason, after his dad told him in another episode that big men like that retain muscle like him aren't meant to do a shooting
Shooting
star
star
press.
press.
I mean, it's a good call for him. Like they're calling it in the ring. Didn't he needed to make another move in
Right.
order to get himself over. And I'm surprised the way it was set up. I knew he was gonna do the shooting star press,
Mhm.
but I actually thought he was gonna do it when they have the table spot
Right.
outside.
Yeah.
And that probably would have made more sense for me for him to end up being crippled
From that point.
from
Yeah,
that
the
point
height.
on because
Well, no, not necessarily. See, this is why I like that they chose that move because it's a difficult move.
it is.
And people, Billy Kidman and more famously Brock Lesnar, hurt themselves by
Oh yeah.
botching the move.
Wow.
So I like that they chose the shooting star press because historically, there are a lot of people who can do it right like 98% of the time.
Oof.
But that 2%, if you do it wrong,
It goes
can-
really, really wrong.
Yeah, but
I mean-
I wasn't saying that he shouldn't have done it or whatever. I was saying that the spot where they had the table, that probably would have been a better spot to do it at.
right. But
As
then
opposed-
I like that it was in the
in
ring.
the ring.
It shows that just that move itself, not necessarily involving tables,
Okay,
that it could be dangerous on its own.
just
Because
in a regular match.
yeah, like
Okay.
basically, if you do it wrong, you spike yourself and you
Mhm.
can mess up your neck, and that's what happened to Kidman and Brock Lesnar. So,
Wow.
and I think that Lesnar match was at WrestleMania, wasn't it? Where he fought Angle.
If it wasn't a WrestleMania, I think it was a SmackDown. But I remember I saw that and he landed and his neck twisted like this.
Oh.
Yeah, and like you should be dead if,
Wow.
if you're not Brock Lesnar. Do you survive that? Because
Right?
that looked
I mean,
gnarly.
he has a hell of a neck. So
Yeah,
He
so
does.
yeah.
so that's what ends up happening, with that one because it's the last man standing and he has to get up like for that and he can't as much as he wanted to try. And I feel kind of bad for Jack. I know he was trying to like get because he was trying to get everything over. He was trying to win over the lady because the lady was really into it.
Right.
Yeah,
From continuing.
I liked her
Really was.
reactions a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like he knew that it just needed like an extra cherry on top
Mhm.
to secure the deal for both of the promotions, and it just went too far, and now everyone's mad at him.
Right.
Right.
Everybody's upset. They're furious. They're like, what are you doing?
Oh,
Yeah,
you
gotta do
Gully
is
just
this.
storms out the building,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he doesn't know that Jack couldn't get up. Now,
Right.
let me ask you this: if he could get up, does he still have Ace go over?
Oh yeah, I think he does.
I think
I
so
Because
think
too.
so
like
too,
if he's
yeah.
able to
That's
do it, he would have actually done it. Not because he know they're working together now.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
everything they agreed to do everything, and I think Jack has turned the table,
Mhm.
or Jack turned over a new leaf, and he now is accepting help. He's accepting help
Right.
from not only the stage hands or not the stage hands, but we only have one, Debbie.
Debbie.
But
I know. Shout out to Debbie. She's
Yeah, I like that character.
very
sweet.
supportive. Yeah.
but also from the talent. Whereas when Rooster was there, Rooster was giving him ideas, and he would never accept anything that Rooster was providing.
Right.
And now he's taking all that, and he actually has Stacy working there. Like, I need you to know that these are my problems, so we won't have no more issues in between
Right.
us. So
Yeah.
I think, knowing how far, like, it's funny because it's like you figure that it's heels and it's about Jack and like but his character didn't. It progressed, but it progressed in little bits where everyone else had more time to shine, and I think that's what made the season pretty good because the first one we got more of a Jack centric, I guess you could say, arc,
Right.
Yeah, this was more of an ensemble
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it
effort,
really was.
and I think it absolutely was to the benefit of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did not need to see like half an episode of like Jack selling lawnmowers or whatever.
Whatever that
Like,
was.
yeah.
Which we know are shady lawnmowers now.
Yes, yes.
I know. You see that printer? We bought that because I was just like, well, I think my mouth was dropped. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, their farm.
Yeah, that has
They-
operating laws for 30 years straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh.
But the paralysis, whether
Mhm.
it's temporary or permanent,
Yes,
does give him a way out of the Gully lawsuit
it
because
does.
he was
Yeah.
supposed to pin him, but he couldn't get up. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
My thing is like if you do, if Gully does, like go ahead, have him take everything. You guys are in debt anyway.
Yeah, that's what he said. But then also as far as his legs, I was just like, I think after we watched it, we're like, okay, well now we have to watch something happy because this is tragic.
I was like, I expect it was like the season was going great, and then you had to like end it like this,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I was like, holy
and
cow.
there's a
I-
writer's strike, and I'm like, I don't know how long I'm gonna get like redemption, rehab story for Jack.
This is
I
gonna
mean,
be,
If it
it's a
happens.
great cliffhanger.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god.
gonna be like
Like-
heroes all over again. What happened?
Or maybe he could come back in season 3 with like a Professor X gimmick or something.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I'm like,
god.
where do we go from here?
They'll call him Wheels.
Wheels.
Wheelie or Wheel. I don't know. So, Carlos mentioned season 3. We are in the midst of a writer's strike and an actor's strike. The ratings for season 2 were not great. I wish it did better.
Mm-hmm.
So, two-part question.
Yeah.
Will there be a season 3 and what would you like to see in it?
I feel like there should. I want a season 3 because I want to see where this goes. But I think the audience would probably like to see a season 3. When I was looking up scores on Rotten Tomatoes, it looks like they gave it a 90%, and the
Yeah.
audience score gave it 93, which was higher than the first season. So I think we want more.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
being well received critically and by the fans. I just don't know if there's enough of them. Carlos, what do you think?
I'm hoping there's a season 3. I understand, there's a lot of shows technically being canceled because we don't know the extent of the writer strike. Like, I will not be like disappointed to hear that it's canceled because I know that information. But hopefully, once everything gets resolved, we at least need one more season 3. Like maybe to see how this finishes. Either they all get called up, and because that's the only thing I can see is they all get called up and they continue to build a brand on the streaming service that they're going, and hopefully on continuum, or they just realize that they need to stay as a family, local, territorial promotion and put the show on for keep it local and just keep the show going for them as far as pride and things like that is concerned.
I mean, I want to say this writing is excellent. If you're hearing and like listening to these conversations, the way that the storyline is written is just so good. The things that they're saying, quotable. I'm just like, wow, this is really deep. It's really good.
And you don't necessarily have to be a wrestling fan or an Arrow fan. It just ended up being a good show, which on its own, which I was not expecting, but hey, here we are.
And this has been helpful to Maria to like learn like not only some of the wrestling terms like a shoot and kayfabe and everything like that, but also
and now Gorilla from today.
Yeah.
So.
But also like seeing them working out the moves or the combinations or the spots before a match, like when El Dorado shows up like in season 3 in episode 3, and they're trying to convince Crystal that if she wants to be a champion that she has to be able to go at least 30 minutes straight without any breaks. And I was like and then El gets in there and then Crystal's having a hard time trying to get the move or a certain move down. So it was great, probably for Maria
Well, I think we
to
get to
see
see
that.
like the wear and okay, so we get to see the financial part of wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Especially like a small organization that's starting from something small and trying to build their way up and build an audience and do streaming and doing all the things and merch. But
Yeah.
we also get to see the physical side of it. So we see the wear and tear on wrestlers' bodies.
Hmm.
We get to see the injuries, and yeah, they're making the moves. They're looking awesome, but at the end of the day, you're doing these moves that can really, make or break your wrestling career.
Yeah. For
There's plenty
sure.
of wrestlers that we know that have these serious injuries, these neck injuries, and this is like a lifelong problem for them.
Hmm.
Or
So
there's a lot that we lost to alcohol and drugs
Yeah,
because they were dealing with these injuries. So
they're
and
suffering
they
with
couldn't get
yeah.
the proper health care to take care of it.
yeah, like, oh, you have just give me all the Tylenol so I can work through the pain.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
I liked Wild Bill's promo classes. Like,
Oh
oh,
yes.
don't
yeah,
don't be a nod guy.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah,
Oh, you said don't be a chin guy where you're
yeah.
like nodding. Yeah, you
That,
respond.
that was a great scene.
Hmm.
It
That
really
whole
He
was.
was having the TED talks.
those
Well,
are good stuff.
Wild Bill TED Talks or Wild Bill Talks.
Hmm.
Now this is what I think will happen. I don't think Stars will do a season 3. I think
Mm.
Stars will cancel the show,
Oh,
and I hope someone else will pick it up, and there will be more seasons. Um, I don't know if one more season's enough to wrap it up, because what I think happens is you have an entire season of just that centers around Jack and Gully working together while trying not to kill each other
Yeah.
right.
as the main thread of season 3, and then you could finish up. But that probably is ideal. Probably won't happen. But yeah, I would love for Stars sucks at marketing. They just do. So I would love for Netflix or someone to pick it up. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that maybe we could get a TK Tony Khan. If for some
Ah,
reason this gets to you,
ah,
get the rights
Get
to
there.
to heels, so we
yes.
can finish getting that produced. Pitch it to, was it David Zasloff?
Oh, that guy sucks. I hate him. The HBO Discovery guy, or what is it? Warner
Warner.
Discovery.
Yeah.
He's
Get
terrible.
get this show finished at least for the 4 seasons. You heard Raymond. We need at least 4 seasons.
Seasons.
And Tony Khan, we can discuss this at Craven Cottage in a Fulham match in the owner's suite. Happy to do this anytime. That sound good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds
that's
good.
I
awesome.
think he's gonna buy it.
I hope
I
so.
think
Need him.
so. If that's not tempting, what is?
Now, guys, it is time for plugs. If you
Ooh.
liked this episode and would like to see more, please like and subscribe. Socials are all up there. If you really like this episode, I have some gimmicks available. You have RPadTV shirts, phone cases, pop sockets,
Ooh.
tote bags, and other things available on Amazon stores around the world. You can find direct links at rpad.tv/merch. Don't forget to go to Revisiting Mania, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, give them likes, hit the bell for notifications. And when are you guys doing? Why don't you talked about the show before, about what it was about. Why don't you go more in depth of what you're trying to do with Revisiting Mania? Because I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Oh,
Thanks. Well, essentially, it just started off from a house show we went to go see locally called Warrior Wrestling, and we want to primarily. I wanted to go see Hijo del Vikingo because he was going to
Ah,
be wrestling there, and Maria enjoyed seeing a live event, and I was like, well, this wrestler reminded me of this, and I started talking, and I'm like, have you ever seen a WrestleMania? And she's like,
ah,
no. And I'm like, well, I mean, I could keep like talking to you and telling you all these things, but why don't we just watch a WrestleMania and I'll like walk you through it. And then she's like, well, that's cool. And then like we were just talking there and we're like, why don't we just make a podcast out of it? So as you were very kind to us to actually guest in our first episode as reviewing or reviewing rewatching for us or for me and you, but a fresh watch, fresh pair of eyes for Maria,
Yeah.
and we're watching WrestleMania 1. So occasionally we'll have a guest with us, but it's primarily her and I, me revisiting, trying to put myself in those eyes and where I was, how I watched it, and how it came off to me, and also like seeing how Maria is reacting and if it's the same as me. Sometimes it isn't. Like, and it's interesting to see what sticks with her and why she likes a certain wrestler where I'd be like,
Yeah, that's what's fun to me to watch too, like getting attached to like Brutus Beefcake and stuff.
yeah, she's been like she loves the beefcake and she missed him at WrestleMania 7 because that's when he has that parasailing accident.
Yeah, where he breaks his face. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed watching these old WrestleManias. Also, it feels like it's kind of like a time capsule because
yeah,
you get to see what everyone's wearing.
the body hair.
Yeah, the body hair, the hairstyles, the clothing, and you get to like, oh yeah, that definitely takes me back to like 1990 or 1991. So that's been cool. And then watching these matches and getting invested in the characters because that's the story, is like getting into these stories. Yep. And then the awesome wrestling moves. I'm a fan of a tag team, so yeah,
Ah.
that's been really cool too.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's cool watching the process and seeing how, because a lot of these early matches are foundational to what wrestling has become today. So it's kind of neat. It's like a little history lesson
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
real time.
little crash course for her. And
Yeah.
as we plan to attend WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia.
Ah, very nice.
Ooh, yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait.
Very
All
cool.
right. And then,
So-
yeah, our next show, I think we're shooting for the 23rd, 6 Central. No, if you're on the
Right.
West Coast, that's 4 and an hour ahead for 7. So we'll be posting that. So please sign up for notifications.
That's
at
right.
Revisiting Mania at YouTube and Instagram and Threads and Twitter X.
Twitter X.
I'm not playing his stupid naming game. It
Yeah,
will be Twitter now and forever.
I know my fingers still are looking for the T. I'm like, come on. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Enough, Elon.
Yes.
I can't deal with this anymore.
I know.
But thank you guys for watching this review of Heel Season 2. Would love to hear what you think. Please leave a comment either in the comment section here or drop me a line on Twitter. And we will see you next time on RPadTV 3000. Thanks for watching.